Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Reforged Podcast. My name is Drew. You might recognize my voice from the Friday Forge podcast. This video is going to serve as a bit of an introduction as to what has changed with my thought process behind making the show, the rebranding that I decided to do, and also give you a little bit of insight on what the show is going to look like moving forward. First thing, just right off the bat, things are probably going to be a little less, for lack of a better word, professional. I used to spend a lot of time writing the scripts for Friday Forge, and I used to spend a lot of time editing out any big pauses or any times I misspoke during the podcast. And that got to be really tedious. It got to be a lot of work. And not just that, but I felt like it really took the heart of what I was trying to do with the show out. I think scripting my words too much, it didn't give enough room for God to be really speaking through me, through the moment, through my experiences. I felt like I had to have something prepared each week. And that really kind of held me back from talking about things that I thought were really important on this show. Certainly, I will still be doing things like a series where we study a certain book of the Bible, or talking about just random things that have popped out to me during my Bible study. Same kind of content, but in a little bit different of a format, a little bit looser. And you might notice that in this video, there's probably going to be a couple more pauses or times that I say. And I'm okay with that because I think that ultimately that allows God a little bit more room to work, and I think it's going to help me work with the show a little bit better. Another thing I really want to speak to is the big gap between episodes. I apologize for that. That is on me. That's something I've been struggling with, to be honest with you. I got really busy a couple months back with school wrapping up, and it became hard for me to find the time to do the podcast, given how much work went into doing it. Um, and then even after things calmed down a little bit, I struggled finding motivation because I just thought of all the writing I had to do. I thought of with episodes I already had written, the recording I'd have to do, the editing I'd have to do. And it was really hard to get myself back in to do it. In fact, I've actually recorded episode 4 of Ecclesiastes, but I haven't finished and edited that and uploaded that yet as of right now recording this. I plan to do that so I can at least finish that series before I move on with this rebranding. But by the time you're seeing this, it should be out. But yeah, that's definitely something that's been challenging for me. And so again, part of that I think was the amount of work that I put in on the forehand before actually uploading the episode, and it just didn't really resonate with me anymore. Because as I said, I don't think it gave God enough room. I don't think it gave me enough room to do what I feel I'm called to do here. So I will be finishing that. Format's going to look different. I covered that. These episodes, I'm going to try to actually stick with that weekly episode upload schedule like I used to. Based on the different format, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to do it. There's going to be much less editing, a lot less cutting. I'll still make sure that it comes out looking clean and polished as possible, but I'm not going to put a ton of work into making it sound like it was given by someone who's been public speaking for many years. I don't think that's authentic. And that's one major thing that I've come around to. I think that's what I wanted to say earlier, and I was struggling to find the words. I want this to be authentic. I don't think that the branding I created with Friday Forge was really effective at meeting people. It kind of felt to me, after reflecting on it, like someone from a higher place was speaking down to you guys about biblical teachings, about readings. I was vulnerable at points, but I don't think that I really connected as a person with you. And I think that a personal connection is really important when it comes to tackling these ideas of faith. I mean, Jesus' ministry was all about God coming down in human form to meet with his people, to share with his people, break bread with his people, talk with his people, teach with his people, to love and to heal and to be in fellowship with his people. So I think that personal touch is really important for that. And I don't think I had that with the branding. I tried to be really professional about it. I never shared my name. Sometimes I said the word I, but mostly I tried to say the word we or our. Like, to refer to the branding as almost some sort of entity. And in a way, I think that's almost kind of idolizing the entity over who God made me to be instead and what he's calling me to do here. So now that things have become apparent to me, I want to make an effort to change that and to connect more on a personal level, be more authentic, to have a more effective ministry, to reach real people, not just people that want, a higher voice coming from, but people who want to see, we're all facing struggles. We're all different. We're all challenged in our own ways. We all learned our own things. We all still need to work on our own things. So I think this new format's going to help me do that with you guys a little bit better. Another thing I want to shout out to is I do want to shout out another podcast I watched that helped me change my format here like this. It helped me realize that's what I need to do to keep up with the show. So I want to give a shout out to the House of Jacob podcast. If you haven't heard or seen any of those episodes, I really recommend you go do that. I want you to start with episode 1. That's where the guy who runs that channel, he gave his testimony on sort of his journey with Christ. And something that really stuck out to me about it was just how it was so layered. It wasn't a clear, clean-cut journey to Christ like we tend to think about. It wasn't like living in sin and then coming to some moment where you realize you need God and something changes dramatically all of a sudden. It was very real of how, you go in phases of sometimes being stronger in your faith, weaker in your faith, different things have influenced you towards away from faith. Different struggles have made your faith hard, different relationships have either shown you God's faithfulness, but also distracted you from it too. It's just a very authentic story, and I really appreciate him giving that because it's something that inspired me to rebrand my show and to be more authentic like that with you guys. And it really just inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing because I saw how powerful his words were to me and how authentic his format was. He goes out into different places with his microphone and he just records himself talking. He's got his notes for what he wants to talk about, but he doesn't have any planned words or scripts. He's got a couple verses and maybe some ideas. And that format really stuck out to me because it showed me that just that authenticness is really what mattered and not the professionalism, not the hours and hours of editing and redoing takes and all that. As long as you're comfortable with how God was able to speak through you, that's what matters. As long as you know that you said what God wanted to say, and as long as you know that you're being authentic and true to his word, that's the important thing at the end of the day. So yeah, I just want to shout out that podcast. I totally recommend you go and listen to it. He's got a couple episodes out. He's been keeping up with the schedule really well, and I really enjoy listening to him. I got super lucky. He just popped up in my recommended. I shouldn't say lucky though, because here I believe that was God putting that in my path so I could witness that. So yeah, it's just a little bit of an update. In terms of the recording setup here, right now I'm just recording in my room. I'm using my laptop's webcam. I know it's not the greatest quality, but I just wanted to do something. I didn't want, again, that sense of professionalism, needing to do everything perfectly to hold me back. I might switch it up a little bit. I might start using like my phone camera, and maybe recording in other places, kind of like House of Jacob does, just whatever I think fits the mood of the episode, whatever I think makes me feel comfortable, or I might just continue to do it from right here. I don't think anyone has to follow the same format. I don't think that, there's a cut and dry way to do this, but yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing for right now. I just want to make sure that I stuck with it and actually record this episode, which is why I'm just doing it here for the time being. And then one thing I just want to say before I end this is I wanted to thank you because I really appreciate how many of you have been supporting me as I've been doing this podcast. I know that there's a lot of you that I know. There's probably a lot of you that I don't know. To those of you that I do know, I'm really grateful for all the encouragement, the continued viewership, sending me, encouraging messages whenever I'd upload these, and really taking the time to watch, listen, however you consume this, and just really appreciating the content and sharing that my insights were helpful to you. That really I appreciated that a lot because it helps me continue to keep doing this. And I'd like to apologize again for not keeping up, not being consistent with it. I again, grateful for everyone who reached out and pressured me to keep doing this. Sorry that I let you down for a while. That was just a moment that I was struggling to keep up with what God wanted me to do, but also reflecting on it, I think it was very telling that I need to change the format to what I'm doing now because otherwise, it, again, was very hard to keep up with the show. And those of you that I don't know, I still appreciate your viewership just as much, if not more so, because I know that you don't have any sort of obligation to watch this, and that you stumbled upon this, you chose to pay attention, and I really hope that I was able to help you, and I hope that I'm able to continue to be a place where you can find God's word in a really personal atmosphere now. So thank you guys for supporting the show for so long. Thank you for supporting it throughout the changes that are going to be made here, and I hope that you will appreciate this new format just as much as I do. Thank you so much for sticking with this show, and remember, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another.